It was a long period of pain followed by a long period of a different kind of pain.
I was told that I didn't get the right to have a job just because I had the surname.
At the very outset of a business, there's a huge amount of uncertainty as to, will this actually work?
But at the time, it was definitely stressful.
I was 50 years of age. People thought I was mad, but I could see what was happening in this industry.
I suppose you have a lot of ambition, or a lot of blind optimism. I think it's always a gamble.
24 nominees, 24 stories of business excellence, all competing to become the EY Entrepreneur of the Year 2015. San Francisco and Silicon Valley. For today's entrepreneurs, this is the place to strike 21st century gold. Our next two finalists have taken this place by storm, but theirs is a story that begins thousands of miles across the Atlantic in a school in Limerick. In their early 20s, the Collison brothers sold their first startup for millions. Now they're well on the way to building their second, a global giant worth billions. The signs were there from an early age. Patrick won the Young Scientist exhibition at 16 and not long after headed to MIT to study, followed swiftly to the States by brother John.
We started working on Stripe when we were in college, actually. Stripe was this fun little side thing when we weren't working on classes, and more or less by the end of the semester, classes were this fun little side thing when we weren't working on Stripe.
I'd been into technology and programming from when I was a teenager, and myself and Patrick started coding up a product that we really wanted for ourselves to exist, and we thought other people might find useful too. And our company, I suppose, sort of fell out of it.
The company that fell out of those late-night coding sessions in their apartment has fallen on its feet. Recently valued at an eye-watering $5 billion, Stripe Software has transformed the business of doing business online, making it easier and faster for developers of internet and mobile sites to accept payment from their customers.
So much of our spending is moving online, and more importantly to our phones. What we're building that we think is valuable is the tools and the infrastructure for the online business.
Stripe now moves billions of dollars every year. We sort of work with businesses based in 21 countries. The core of entrepreneurship is wanting sort of the world to be different in some kind of discrete way. Normally you're really annoyed by sort of the way such and such thing works, and you think it should work in this other way, right?
I think being curious about the world around you is a kind of a useful trait to have. You probably won't spot the opportunities which are masquerading as problems if you don't have that fairly deeply.
With an ever-growing list of prestigious Stripe users, their base in downtown San Francisco, a stone's throw from Silicon Valley, is the ideal bridgehead from which to conquer the globe.
Silicon Valley has an impressive willingness to try out risky ideas. People who, maybe fail once or twice at one company go on to kind of succeed at their next company.
I think it's the culture to some degree, but I think more than that, it's just the kinds of people and the number of people. There are just far more experience here in Silicon Valley. And not just kind of 2 times more, or 3 times more, but like 20 times more. And that's the core of it, people.
I think in all the companies we tend to look at and all the examples people tend to use, they're all big or established, or those are companies, and they have logos and offices, and they're fierce fancy. In me and Patrick's case, we didn't set out planning to hire a bunch of people or build this big thing. In our case, it was a lot of, late nights up coding. The whole looking like a shiny company stage comes much later.
There's just sort of so much uncertainty as to whether it could possibly get off the ground. And so now, having had it work out to at least some degree, it's nice to, in some way, sort of look back fondly on sort of those really scrappy times when you were working out of the living room, or whatever the case was.
At one stage, I remember, you probably remember this, saying to Patrick, how hard can it be? And it turns out pretty hard, actually.
Michael Hoyne's Merlyn Showering is Ireland's and the UK's leading shower enclosure manufacturer. From Thomastown in Kilkenny, Michael grew up surrounded by self-starters. His dad and uncle both founded successful businesses in the area.
This is where I started, in the family hardware shop in the 60s and 70s. Nothing much has changed. Colour has changed, but that's all it is.
I was very poor in school and never an interest in school. I was always involved in the business. I lived in a bungalow behind the shop, so I was always into either filling shells or bagging nails and all of that type of thing.
My first business was when I was around 12, and I remember going out and I bought a school bag with the first profit I ever made. I could see timber boxes that were probably going to be throwing out, whereas I made them into kiln and sold them for a profit. That was the buzz that I got, and I still have the buzz today.
Following in a family tradition, Michael set up and ran a series of successful businesses all his life. But there was still one idea in his mind that he simply couldn't ignore.
My wife brought me out to purchase a shower enclosure for our own home. We brought it home. I didn't assemble it. I took it asunder. I looked at the components. I weighed the aluminium. And I said, I think there's business in this. And if I could do it better, I think we could make a success of it. A good showering experience makes people feel better about themselves. Merlyn started in the year 2000. Myself and my wife started the business. I was 50 years of age. People thought I was mad, but I felt it was a big opportunity.
So it's glass that with the push of a button goes from clear to modesty. So we thought it'd be ideal for commercial projects, maybe for swimming pools, hotels.
We always look at how can we be different. We're in the fashion business. You know, you can have a shower enclosure, let's say it can be in chrome. So every month you can have a different colour. Something nobody else has.
Merlyn Showering, Steve speaking.
That's per handle, yeah.
In 2008, we actually lost 60% of our Irish business overnight. And instead of us cutting back, we invested in our marketing, we invested in our product. We more than doubled our people during the recession. How actually can we have our shower turned on from you're still in your bed? So this is something that we're looking at.
Today, Merlyn is considered a market leader, employing more than 75 people and is expanding in the Middle East, Africa and China. The business, though, is still based in Kilkenny.
5 million people have a Merlyn showering experience every day. And our ambition is to get that to 50 million people who have a shower experience every day.
A life in business has been good to Michael, and he wants to encourage young people to follow suit. So he's enlisted some all-star help in the form of Top Cat Brian Cody to help get the message out.
We had a programme a couple of years ago in school with our 6th class, and they really got a lot from it and they really enjoy doing it as well.
I want to bring in some role models like Brian and different people. Brian, he has the experience from his national school and that. And if Michael Hoyne was coming to the school, you know, there wouldn't be much interest. But if Brian Cody or some of the other role models, you're bringing them, I could imagine the excitement in it.
If you grab their interest, if you grab their attention, you know, they will stick with it, you know.
The heart of Merlyn is, like Michael, Kilkenny through and through. So supporting all things homegrown, like Thomastown footballers, adds up.
As a company, we're very successful, and we'd also like to share that out. And the way we can do that is, you know, you've young kids playing here and that, like, and the people who actually run the games and that, those are the people that we love to support.
65 years of age, I still have great passion for this business. I don't call it a job. It's basically my hobby. I enjoy it so much. You know, I've come from Thomastown. Thomastown's probably made me, and I'm saying it's a great place to start a global business.
Terry Knox is the third generation to run the family business. Started in Belfast, CD Group branched out its car parts delivery service to Dublin and Cork, and now under Terry's stewardship employs 170 people.
We're probably shifting about 7,000 part numbers a day, only trading in Ireland, but out of the 3 branches we'd be doing in excess of 35,000 parts a week. We started in 1963. My grandfather opened the business in Belfast on the Dublin Road. It started off very small. It was a small building in the city centre in Belfast, and we really only had the agency for one brand.
How many of these will be going out?
There'll be 16 boxes here, and there'll be one driver here leaving at 10:30.
I always wanted to come in and work in the family business, so I always asked in the summers to be able to drive forklifts or cut the grass or put orders away. A really good grounding is to support your enthusiasm by getting your hands dirty and understanding the business right from the ground. I still have my forklift license. I was told that I didn't get the right to have a job just because I had the surname, so I was dispatched to college and got my degree. I was told that wasn't good enough and dispatched again and got a postgrad. I joined in '99. That coincided with our expansion into the Republic of Ireland, and I was lucky enough to do that. We now probably enjoy 2/3 of our revenue is south of the border.
In the last year, Terry has taken up the position of Group MD, and with the responsibility has also come a house move for himself and his family to be near HQ in Belfast.
In essence, our biggest strength is our service, getting our stock closer to our customers and using vans to get the parts there quicker than the competition. We have 37 vans on the road. Each of the vans are fitted with a tracker. At any one point in time, we can see where any van is on any road, what speed they're doing. We have all of the customers loaded into the database. We'll supply to over 300 motor factors every day. I would say we're probably hitting 80% of the car park in the country, at least twice a day with our own delivery network. We get Dublin and Cork organised to go this week. We got so big that our infrastructure couldn't handle it, and we knew we needed to make changes in the business or else it would have stopped us from getting bigger. And last year was tough, a really tough year. We had a new finance team, we changed our computer system, we had a new buying team in place. All things that needed to be done, probably not all at the same time, and I'm glad that last year's behind us. We certainly tested the loyalty of our customers. But I do believe we're a better business for it, and we're experiencing strong growth this year.
CD Group are in the business of car parts. You don't have to be a petrol head to work there, but it helps.
This is a piece of kit that one of our suppliers got involved with a few years ago, and we came to an agreement with them where we said, let's see if we could use it in-house and get some of the staff involved for some morale, team building. So we've got the guys trying to post some times against each other, and we put up a prize for each department and then a winner for each branch. So it will absolutely distract everybody. But that's part of the fun, you know, it's something different. I don't like to think of myself as a bit of a geek about parts for cars, but I know that I have a complete passion for the family business. And to be third generation is something that I think fills the family with pride. But the plan is to keep going, you know, it's not just about being happy with where we are, it's about looking forward. I don't think my grandfather would really believe how many parts we're selling and where we're selling them to. I would like to think that he's looking down with a bit of pride.
We share a lot in common. Our working relationship is based upon a solid friendship, first of all, so we've known each other since we were 15. We became very good friends in school. We came to Trinity then together as well.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a vocational element. It was more a decision based on how much fun I would have in university, and that certainly proved to be true. I think it was probably some of the best years of my life here.
We had some good times here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Childhood friends Ross Kelly and Conor Crowley made the most of their college experience, growing a multi-million euro software business from their days at uni. They turned a jobs offered ad into a global business.
There was a summer coding job that was posted on the notice board. It suited my plans, so I took the job, and Vizor actually ended up spinning out of that job about 6 months later in 2001.
Vizor will have grown to 60 staff by the end of the year, and attracting and retaining a tight-knit team has always been in the frame.
We go out regularly with the staff, you know, we kind of have an active social life.
We can't grow quickly enough, we can't hire quickly enough. We need smart, driven people.
There's a paucity of skilled people in Ireland, so we bring people from abroad a lot, from Greece, Spain, Bulgaria, And yeah, like I think for these guys being able to go out with the staff and like with their colleagues and have a good time, it's really important.
Central banks depend on Vizor's software to track what's happening in their economies.
We help central banks safeguard their economies and protect against future recessions via our software products.
So we do that by providing them with the software tools that lets them gain the really valuable insights that they need to see the current and the future state of financial institutions and the wider financial system.
The regulator comes to you and they buy one of their problems.
With offices in Dublin, Dubai and Ottawa, running the company has been a roller coaster ride for the two complementary characters who've dealt with challenges in different ways.
You have to be capable of living with a lot of risk. You don't necessarily have to love it, but you have to be able to live with it, you know? And I think that's something that you definitely have to develop a resilience for.
I sleep like a baby at night, yeah. I don't suffer from stress. Ross is a stress head. Let's take an hour tomorrow.
One of my things is like I'm trying to live in the moment and actually take a step back and enjoy things a bit more.
At various stages, Ross and Conor spent years working overseas. Now the joint CEOs are growing the next phase of the company from here. For Ross, this requires relinquishing the top job on his home renovation to wife Rachel.
And what he was talking about doing here, finishing the plasterwork?
Yeah, I had another house, I was in negative equity and I wasn't really ready. And then I saw this place and I was like, oh my God, that was just the house. I kind of moved heaven and earth to somehow raise the money to do this job. They're asking 15 grand for 4 windows, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? Yeah. So if I'd known how expensive it was going to be, I mightn't have done it, but you know, there you go, we're nearly there. This is a significant project, but it's kind of, compared to some of the problems we've had in Vizor, it's quite straightforward. You know, it's great finally to have that stability. I think probably a lot of people in Ireland are probably feeling that right now, where it's kind of, you know, there was dark times and the sun's coming out finally, so yeah.
From Little Island in Cork, Frank Madden's Crest Solutions is a leader in track and trace production line technology for the pharmaceutical, food and medical devices industries.
Basically, instead of a human eyes, we put cameras on production lines to check the quality of products as they're manufactured to make sure that they're correct.
However essential it is, the track and trace business isn't Frank's only passion, and his love of precision extends into his off-duty hours.
Obviously, my family are very, very important to me, and that would be the number one way I spend time. I play the guitar very badly. I'm learning the piano off YouTube. Building furniture was really a passion of mine. I'd come out here sometimes 7 in the evening and it might be 1 o'clock in the morning before I leave. Absolutely no inspiration for work, other than just getting a break from it, really. My father was a carpenter and I suppose I got it from that. Well, I made all kitchen doors, I made computer tables, made our boardroom table at work, meeting room tables at work. For me, it's about creating something out of nothing. Business is the same. I like to build and grow things. I don't know why. I'm certainly not motivated by money. I'm motivated to grow a really good, successful Irish business. I come from a family business, so I think that has a huge influence when your parents run a business. At one time, all my siblings ran their own business. I'm going to put at the end of the emails that the show is on. In the last year, Crest Solutions would have scanned more than 2 billion barcodes. This is a very standard scanner that we would have for reading barcodes on a production floor. This is our own product, which is a multi-camera system which we would have in a factory where we could have up to 10 or 15 cameras. And this camera and this system would typically make the quality evaluation on a product about 5 to 10 every second.
Frank's business background began in Apple Computers in Cork before he decided to take a bite out of entrepreneurship himself.
What to do with it is look at the codes on each of the chips.
I think I always wanted to set up on my own. I suppose you have a lot of ambition and a lot of blind optimism at that particular case. Also, you know, you could argue there's much bigger gamble now when you have, you know, nearly 100 people working for you than when you were on your own. You know, if something went wrong in the first year or two, it'd be easy enough to turn back and get employment somewhere else. So I think it's always a gamble. And have we enough resolution on this application?
Yeah, I think we're fine. We designed the system so that we'd have enough.
It's always enjoyable, it's always challenging. But like everything else, it has its good days and its bad days. More good days than bad days, and as long as there's more good days than bad days, I'll continue to do it.
Over the last 5 weeks, we've met the 24 nominees in this year's competition. They're all vying for the title of Entrepreneur of the Year. Everything rests on today, when the nominees have a final chance to make their case to the judging panel. Most of the judges have sat on the other side of this table, and they all know just how much is at stake.
We've just this morning had face-to-face with 12 or half of the participants, and I must say it's the most inspiring morning.
Yeah, hopefully it went well. A bit nerve-wracking, so many people.
Yeah, the adrenaline's really pumping. I've just come out and it's been really fantastic meeting the judges.
You're reading a story of an entrepreneur and what they're doing, what they've done with their business, how they founded it. You may score differently when after you've met them. So I'm actually in the middle of changing and reappraising.
We have 3 categories. We have emerging, industry, and international.
It's my first time judging. It's a really strong field. Will we have an agreement shortly? I don't think so. There's a long discussion ahead of us to get to the bottom here.
I think on the emerging category, what's particularly pleasing is the teams that built.
It's just, the diversity. They're from very different type of businesses, and just to see their passion, their energy, it's fantastic.
There's so many companies that are turning traditional industries right on their head.
You have scale and you have longevity there, and I suppose there's a proven track record there.
EY Entrepreneur of the Year programme is really important for Northern Ireland, and one of the reasons it's important is because we need to rebalance our economy. We are over-reliant on our public sector. If we're going to grow the private sector, we have to have entrepreneurs.
In terms then of the whole judging process, for me it's very important to ensure that the process is fair, that all the finalists get a really good shot at this, that we give them all time, and that the process is transparent.
It's a very impressive field. I'm glad I'm not in it this year.
It's a really full, intense day. So they'll take their decision, but we won't know the outcome until the night of the awards.
Okay, the discussion is over. We've debated this very well, and it's now really time for us to make a decision.
The nominees have done all they can. In just 72 hours at a gala awards dinner this Thursday night at 10:30, the winners will be announced and the EY Entrepreneur of the Year 2015 will be crowned.